Hey, welcome everybody to the Evolution Podcast. This morning, it's just me, Brandon Decremer, this morning from Evergreen Foundations, as Christina Joy is in some meetings, but she is going to join me today for a special double episode of our podcast. And I'm super stoked that today I'm joined by Leigh Hello from the Happy Huddle on Skool. Hey, Leigh, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. We've got a chance to talk a few times on the
Hmm.
podcast in groups, and I always enjoy our conversation. So it's
Me
cool
too.
to open up the podcast studio and visit with you here for an hour.
I am so excited. I know it's gonna be a good conversation. I don't know exactly what it's gonna end up being about, but I know it's gonna be amazing. So thank you, Brandon, for having me.
Yeah, not a problem. So how have you been? How have things catch me up? How's the happy huddle? What have you been kind of working on these days?
Well, it's funny. Okay, so it's a happy hangout, but
Happy hangout.
you've
Sorry. Yes.
you
Ah,
call it that, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is this a sign that I need to switch that because it sounds so super cute? So I'm like, I love it. I think we might do, you know what I might do? We do like happy hours. I might do happy
you
huddles.
got to
I
call
love
something.
it.
So you know what's hilarious about this
So
is
good.
I am serial at this. Like I am. It started with Karen Falkenberg. I used to call her Karen Falkenberger for like a month, and then I Landis Sulcus on our team and foundations.
Yeah.
Um, the Inner Flame, I called his community, and it's the
Yeah.
Flame Keepers for like a
Yes.
month. So I'm like, really, this is a thing with me.
It's so good. It's so good. You know what? And it's funny because I feel like you're just connected to, I don't know about Falkenberger. I don't know where that's coming from, but I feel like you're connected. Well, maybe because she loves protein. Maybe that's what it is.
It was actually
So,
because I knew somebody with that name. But
oh,
that one.
okay. But I feel like you're so like connected to the heart of what people are doing that you create this name. So like the Happy Huddle, it sounds perfect for what I do. What Alandis is doing is about your inner flame. So it's not so off. I think you're just connected to purpose and what we're doing, and then you make up what you want, which is totally
Hey, and
fine.
maybe I'm creating like future groups and
You
taglines for you
are.
guys, and you know.
You are. You are. Watch for the future Happy Huddle.
So how have
So
things been?
yeah,
What are you working on?
Um, so it's interesting because I love doing the happy hangout. Like I absolutely love the community. Um, and then life is so big right now for me, like personally. So it's been a really cool, I feel like universe, God, whatever you want to call it. I feel like it gives you what you need to learn for you to grow the biggest that you can. And normally like years ago I would have been like, oh, I gotta like shut this community down, this passion project down, because I have to like focus on like real life of what's happening right now, and then I can do that later. And all through the last year and a half I've been dealing with some like really big things, and I've kept up the community because I love it, because I love giving to people, but I also, quite frankly, get so much from community. So it's been really fascinating. So we've been growing. We've been doing a lot of really cool things in there, but slower than what my ego wants, but exactly the way that it should be, the way that it's supposed to be.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting that you said it that way. That really like resonated with me because community, I've been doing school now for almost 2 years and like multiple
Awesome.
communities and different things, right? And I really went through different waves of like ego there, right?
Yeah.
Because I wanted it to be certain things, and we're a collaborative community, so I wanted it for not only myself but for other people. And
Yeah.
you get kind of lost in the community hustle and bustle, and for moments I forgot that I was also like a business owner and had like other projects and this other thing, like
Right.
these other wings, right?
Yeah.
And now that I've had to like really focus, shout out to Brennan Thompson, business partner that came into my life. That's really,
He's
really
so
dialed
amazing.
me in, right? He's amazing. And a lot of us know him on Skool. And I've
Hmm.
really collaborated with him a lot recently, and we're partnering up on a lot of cool projects. And it's shown
That's
me that
cool.
community is an important aspect. But a lot of people come to community as like, this is the business. And I did
Hmm.
that for a bit. And then my ego got in the way a little bit when I tried to separate it. And
Mm-hmm.
now that I have more naturally and through networking and working with people, I can now look at it from like a more of a aligned way than an
Mm.
egotistical way. So as soon as you said that, that really resonated with me. That's awesome.
Huge. It's huge. Yeah. And it's like that whole thing is it shows up in so many parts of our life, right? Like it's not just business, it's not just community building, it's the friendships that we hold, it's the responsibilities we have with family, it's all of it. It's like what are we doing? You know, there's buzzwords of like being performative and there's all these like buzzwords, but they're buzzwords for a reason because we're all getting trapped in these things. And so like we had a conversation. This is why I love conversations with you, Brandon, because it's like I'm going to go to Christmas right now. Um, so we had this conversation in one of our masterminds, and it was about what we thought we had to do for family. So one of the girls in our group had to go to this like this baby shower kind of thing. And she didn't want to go because it was like an hour and a half away. She was the furthest. And she was like, why can't I just like give them a gift? And like, I see them all the time. Like they have a very close family, right? It's not like this is going to be the only time that she gets to see them. And I was like, yeah, why can't you? Why can't you just do that? And that's okay. And she's like, well, because, and it was all of this stuff around it. And so then we got to Christmas and we were like, imagine Christmases if those holidays, those parties, those dinner parties with the family, only people that wanted to be there were there. Not the people that felt like they had to be there, but only the people that felt like they had the capacity in the middle of December. They felt like they had, like, they wanted to be there to see certain people and weren't there from obligation. And so maybe that would mean that like two or three people would not show up, but that whole energy of that dinner would be amazing instead of like the one uncle that's just like, oh God, these kids, like I hate being here. And it like drags everything down. And then the kids don't
Yes.
want to be there because Uncle Joe is such a jerk. And like that whole dynamic happens because one person doesn't want to be there but feels like he has to.
Yes.
So it shows up everywhere.
Or it's their pattern to feel that way at those events. I have seen this a
Amen.
lot, right? Like like
Mhm.
you can go into the season like wanting to obviously if people I've done stuff like this, but like people with kids and stuff, I've seen this where you want to go into the season happy, you're feeling certain things, but every year the same emotions come up, the same
Yeah.
feelings, the same responses. You're kind of miserable, you're kind of stressed out. And it's
Yeah.
a pattern that you repeat because you haven't solved something, in my opinion.
Amen.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
From the past. And it's
Yep.
funny how so many people go through so many situations in life like that.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. It's the stories we tell. And it's
Yes.
that's another thing that like people are like, oh, there's Instagrams all over about the stories we tell and the lies we're telling ourselves, but it's just true. Like I'm not I'm not shielded from it. I have my brain is, you know, I always joke with my husband because I'm a creative being. Like I'm a kitchen designer by trade. I love creation. And so it's like telling your brain, okay, you could only be creative here. You can't be creative in your real life. My brain's just like, hey, we make up stories all the time. That's how you make the best kitchens because you're just like, you see this box and you're like, imagine what it could be. So I've trained myself to always make things more beautiful. I've always trained myself to see what's not there. But then that turns over to real life where it's like you're seeing things that aren't there because they're this, you know, it's so fascinating.
I've always been the same way, and I think that's why many of us end up doing
Yeah.
creative type of things on the internet, and
Yeah.
the way we work with people is creative, and because
Yeah.
I'm the same way. I've always, and I think it's why I've been able to like drudge through what everybody thinks is super easy to like start online businesses and make it
Right.
sustainable. And I think I've been able to drudge through because of the story I've always told myself is like 5 years ahead. I've always been where I've wanted to
Yeah.
go, right? Even if
Right.
I'm not there quite yet, I
Yeah.
always know what that looks like.
Yeah.
I've always painted that picture. I always know,
It's
I've
huge.
always filled the gaps in with the words, right? Like, and I'm Wasn't always, but man, in the last 5 years, specifically the last 18 months, I have
Mhm.
really believed in the power of creating our own reality with our thoughts, with the way
Yes.
that we show up in our own head starts the whole day. And
Amen.
that's a lot of what you said. Yeah, they're buzzwords, but it's
Mhm.
so important. The thoughts that run on loops in our head become who we are,
Right.
and what
Right.
happens through our day to day. I'm a firm believer in it because I see it
Amen.
everywhere now.
Amen. Amen. And you're right. Like that's a perfect. So when, when people are talking about the stories we tell in our head, a lot of the time it's the negative part of it. It's like, oh, if I could just get rid of this story. But also it is the flip side that like it is also the story that you're telling of your future self. It is a story you get to choose the story you tell of the situation. Um like I'll tell you like really quickly about like what I'm going through personally, because I think it'll probably end up coming up in this conversation. And like I don't want it to be just like trigger warning. It's gonna sound heavy, but it's I'm coming from it that we can't let it be heavy. So my sister was December 18th of 2024. December 17th, she was fine. December 18th, she got sick. And then now it's been a year and a half of her fighting for her life. She's been in a hospital for a year. So my family, we've been with her other than sleeping. And if you guys like were on in the happy hangout, I was doing our meetings in the like little family room inside the hospitals. Like that's what my year and a half has been. And so the reason why I share it is because the stories we tell, like we can go into this, oh my gosh, like every day things could turn very badly. And sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. And I have a therapist as a husband. He's so amazing. He like never, I'm never his patient. So he never tries to be my therapist, but some of the things that he says, I'm just like, oh, is that therapist talking? Is that what's happening right now? But it's just, he naturally knows these things to be true. Um, Yesterday we had to go up to Toronto, which is like 4 hours away from where I am. And we did it in a day. And so there were some big meetings that were happening. And the morning before the morning of, I was telling my husband, I'm like, I'm really scared. I'm scared of what this is going to be and how this is going to change our life. And how am I going to be able to drive home? And I went there. I went to all the what ifs and how. He's like, you've been here before. You handle everything that happens. If it's good, if it's bad, if it's scary, if it's neutral, you'll handle it. And we forget that every one of us listening to it, you, me, you listening, we've literally handled absolutely everything that has crossed our path because we're here. And we're having the luxury of watching a podcast or talking on a podcast. So there's not so many flames happening that you can't spend this time. And we forget that part of it. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't have any time to do anything. But you're listening to us right now. So you do have time for peace and connection if you choose it. And if you look at it like that, not like, oh, I'm just doom scrolling. Look at it like, wow, I'm taking time for me, whatever that looks like. It's so life is just so fascinating and the
Yes, and
lessons you learn.
what your husband did, I call the reminder system, right? Like we have to remind ourselves a lot. Our brain
Yeah.
will remind us why this is scary. Our brain will
Yep.
remind us why we need to protect ourselves from the
Right.
feelings, the emotions. We need to remind ourselves that we've done it before, that we've
Yes.
been through it.
Yes.
So that's beautiful. And I'm a
Yes.
praying type of guy. So prayers for your sister. And
Thank you.
may
Thank you.
I ask if, like, how do you go from
Yeah.
sick to, or not sick to
She
super overnight?
so she ended up she had Crohn's. I don't know if you're familiar
Oh,
with Crohn's and
I am,
colitis.
yes.
Yeah, so she had Crohn's for 20 years. She was in remission for it would have been 5 years this past June. And something happened that she we think she went and gave blood at a blood donor clinic and or like at a not a blood donor clinic, like a medical clinic, whatever. And they had to do a urine sample. She went into the bathroom. This is where we think she got it. And so she got C. diff, which is this like it just
Yeah, yeah.
not fun. So they think that she contacted that, which sparked a colitis uh reaction. And so she went into this like major flare, and it was at like it was December 18th. So her GI doctor wasn't around. He was away for 2 weeks, and they didn't want her to go to the hospital because like our hospitals during Christmas were just like filled with infection. And like it was, so they
Yeah.
like, if you can handle this at home. So we went to the GP. Anyway, in 2 weeks, she lost 25 pounds, and she was only 125 pounds. She's like a small frame to begin with.
Sure.
So she lost, yeah, like 25 pounds in like 2.5 weeks. And so that it was just like we didn't know what any of this stuff was as it was happening. It was just like, oh, she just has like some sort of stomach bug. And like we were going out for like dinners and stuff. So it was like, oh, maybe you just got food poisoning. And then it was like, oh, wait, no, this doesn't look like food poisoning. And then it just kind of unraveled. And we did day after day after day after day, thinking it was the last day. Tomorrow will be better. And then it wasn't. And then they ended up giving her like a medication inside of the hospital that just hurt her liver. And so she's been jaundice for over a year. And her liver is a drug induced liver issue. And we've just been dealing with it for now a year of that. And then it was 6 months prior to that of like figuring everything out. So in a nutshell, that's what it is. And it's been wild because nobody knows. Like we just had a big meeting yesterday with the specialists and stuff. And so I got in at like 1 a.m. So I didn't get to talk to my husband. So we talked this morning about like what it was and whatever. And he like didn't really know how to, he's like, he just said, well, I don't know what's going to happen. And I was like, that's the whole point. None of us know what's going to happen. Like tomorrow she could just be okay. The probability is not there. But in my mind and my heart, I'm like, I guess that's where hope comes in,
Yeah.
is that's something that I've really learned a lot this year, um, is the power of hope. And if you don't have hope, and that's all part of stories, right? To me, I think that's what hope is a story you're telling yourself that things can get better. If we don't have that, we literally don't have anything. Like I've distilled that down that if you and I've never talked about hope. A year and a half ago, I would never talk about that. I'm like, "Oh yeah, no, like we should always like be hoping for the best." And like it was such a superficial knowing about it to now I'm like, if you distill everything down to our life, if we do not have hope, we will not move forward. And it's the same thing that you're talking about when you're talking about building your community. You have I see 5 years from now, that's hope. That's
Yeah.
right. Like when you come down
And
to it, to me, anyway.
And I think it's a hope with a real root in a belief, though. Like you're really,
Yes,
but you're believing, right? And I have seen way too many, or know closely, way too many connected closely to people who have healed through things they shouldn't have, through
correct.
hope, belief,
Yes,
the stories they tell themselves. They're not laying
amen.
in bed telling themselves they're going to die. They're telling
That's it.
themselves they're going to live. They're envisioning where they are 5 years from now. I mean, I'm not talking one or two people. I'm talking, I
Right.
know double digits of people who have
Yes,
healed cancers,
yes,
debilitating diseases, like through thoughts and
yes,
eating clean food, cleaning out sugar, and just
yes,
knowing they're going
yes,
to heal. I've seen
yes.
way too many now to not buy it. Like I just it's there. Like
There is no, now finally the science is coming up to like
yes,
finally.
yes.
And
So we
so
don't sound crazy. Like,
right. It's not, and the part of coming at it is difficult because people have talked about it too much, that like the power of positive thinking, that it sounds super trite. So when it's dire, it's like, well, you really have to believe that you're going to get better. You have to believe. And they're like, oh, yeah, toxic positivity, that's going to work. And you have to come around it that it's the way your brain works and the way that your body works. So you're giving yourself. So we had this conversation on the ride home yesterday because in September of last year, we were given it was like one of the worst meetings of our life, that it was not, if things don't turn around, you will not make it to Christmas. It was, I am so sorry to be the one to tell you this. You need to get your stuff in order because you will not make it to Christmas. It was not a who knows, maybe if, it was a this is it. And so my sister had to grapple with, oh my God, I have to move, I have to eat, I have to drink, I have to do all of this stuff. I have to really get myself to get on the other side of this. But the specialists are saying there's no possible chance. And me and my mom were with her every single freaking day. And even when she like didn't want to, I know I would have been like, holy shit, all of the main people are telling me this isn't going to work, then this is literally a death sentence. We're like, you know what? You don't know. They don't know. Probability, you might not be here. So we need to make this the best right now. But you also need to push doing all the things you need to do, because wouldn't that suck if they were wrong and you died only because you gave up? But you had a chance. And the only ways that you could see that chance is if you don't give up and then let your body do what it's going to do. Make sure that you're eating what you need to do, move it, believe, pray, all the things. And then whatever happens, happens. But I think that's a big part of it too, Brandon. I think it's so, yeah, I like that you backed the hope with like a belief and actual action doing the thing. The saying of like, it'll be what it'll be, or it is what it is. If you look at that like I'm going to lay in bed and we're just going to see if,
Yeah.
my Prince Charming is going to walk in the door. I bet it's not going to happen. No shit. They don't know where you live. I'm going to just lay in bed and see what happens with this community. Yeah, it's not going to grow. Like you're not there. So you can't believe that things are going to just turn out the way that they're supposed to. You have to believe that and take the action that you get nudged to take,
Yeah.
just one step at a time. Like,
Yeah.
so
And it
fascinating.
it's hard for some to grasp still, right? Like I've
Of
known some that have
course.
tried with health problems. It's just like, no, like think different, start thinking differently, and they look at you like you're nuts, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the simplest science that I like to fall back on is when our bodies are stressed out, nerve,
Mm-hmm.
we do not heal. We do not digest food. We do not go into processes that our miracle machines, our bodies can do. And when we are
Yes.
not in those states, we
Yes.
know that our bodies do miraculous healing on cellular levels. That's all you
Yes.
gotta like know is if you're not stressed out and you're healing
Yes.
and you're in a calm mind, your body
Yes.
can heal anything.
Yes.
So
Yes.
having positive thoughts, we know scientifically and believing that you're going to heal or be in certain areas is medically and scientifically more positive for you than just
Yes.
going, oh, we'll see how it goes. Like we know
Truly.
that. And
Truly.
that gives a lot of hope, I think, for
Yeah.
a lot of things. And I'm not saying ignore medical attention and just think that
Right.
you're going to, right? I'm not saying that
No,
as this goes out
that's
on a platform. But what I am saying
right.
is, I implore anybody going through hard hardships, disease, medical and mental health problems to really start with the way you're thinking about it. Believe
Yes.
you can get through it. Believe there's
Yes.
hope and help and something around it. Because then our amazing brains, when we do push the right buttons, and that's one of them, when we ask the
Yeah.
right questions, our brains will look for the right answers. They'll look for maybe you'll hear an ad that's like the right practitioner for you that you wouldn't have heard before because you weren't
Amen.
looking, right? Like that kind of stuff
Amen.
I see all the time too.
It's Placebo, we know placebos work
Yeah.
a percentage of the time, right? The only thing that says that the placebo works is this. That's the only thing. There's not, you literally did not get anything in that pill. So the only reason why, because that should be zero, that should be no change has happened if you get this pill. So it only works because people believed that you got this pill and that's going to help. And so now because you have that belief, your cells can do the work. And like you said, that's what we had on in the car ride home. I was like, okay, it's a new game now because now it's like we're just like at a different level of what has to happen. I was like, so now when we're working on, now we've got different metrics we have to look at for food. We have different metrics we have to look at for walking. The mindset piece is part of that, which I think that should be part of rehab. I think when you go to physio, like people are like, okay, you have to go to physio. I think they should be going to mental physio because the other thing that happens that I'm seeing, like my sister is kind of like she's such an extreme case of all of this stuff that we're talking about that I can see it like super clearly. So when, oh man, I just lost my thought. That's what I love when that happens. It's so funny
Hey,
because
that's why
maybe the
there's two squirrels behind me, and that's the Christina and I. Where you? This is okay. This is like common. You don't know how many times we go. Wait, what was the question? And I go,
wait,
I don't know.
yes. No, so what okay, so okay, anyway, it'll come back to me. And I'm just going to start. Okay, so here's a little tip for you if you lose your train of thought, just start talking about something else because you don't actually know what I was about to say anyway. So it could
Okay,
have been
right?
this. So, okay, so with my sister, yeah, oh no, when we were coming back. Okay, so when we were driving back, I was talking about everything is a different game. So now we have to like do all this stuff. We have to do the mental work. The physio that people go in through rehab is just to fix your like muscles, get your strength back, but you've got to get this mind strengthened. The reason why it doesn't work for a lot of people when they're sick is because it actually changes your brain. So I had a concussion back in 2018, I think it was, and the actual medical people said that they didn't know what was going to happen with it. I couldn't make eye contact. I couldn't walk a straight line. Like it was really, really bad. But they didn't really have any kind of protocol to be able to do this. It was like, wait it out, see what happens. I went to a functional neurologist who was able to like see by like tests that we were doing with my eyes, see what was actually happening in my brain. Well, it was so fascinating to me that my sister and my mom also got brain scans because I was like, we should all have a baseline of what our brain looks like. Like the the functionality of that is there. I believe it's expensive, but it's worth it. Get a baseline because she got that baseline back in 2018, now she's been in the hospital for a year. I'm seeing her slow down. And I've seen so many people in the hospital that while we're there for a year, you see people coming and going. I've seen them deteriorate here, that they're slower, that their mind is slower. And it's not a people are like, oh, that's just because, they get sad because they're in the hospital for so long and they're no, it actually changes your brain. And so my sister got a scan of her brain now, and it looks like two different people. Like it's so fascinating to me that it's not just, oh, she's been in bed a long time. Like that's what they
Yeah,
say,
yeah,
right? Like, oh, she's been in bed. No, because a mother that locks a baby in a car can flip open that car and rip it open like she's the jaws of life, but she didn't train for that. She's got it in her to be able to get her baby out. So our body is able to do amazing things without training for it. Or so if you're laying in bed, yes, your muscles atrophied. Yes, things like that happen, but you can move faster. You can do it, but your brain actually changes with being told you're going to die or being told that your life is going to change. All of that, when we talk about like, your body always wants to keep you safe and you're always going to be like in this protective mode.
yeah.
When you're being told things like that in the hospital and they don't have somebody coming to your bedside doing therapy or talking about it, you've got it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse because then you're going to have this dialogue that's going to change your amygdala, that's going to change the rest of your brain. And then your body is going to do what it's supposed to do. It's working properly, but not the way we want it to. And to me, it's all just so freaking fascinating
Yeah.
because we have the ability to be able to like control all of this. And we were talking before we got on the show that like, cause you're like, oh, what do we want to talk about? And we're like, who knows? Our conversations are always so good. But in my mind, I was like talking about simplicity. And like Alandis just did that clarity spark this morning
Yeah.
on it,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was so cool. That's what it is. It's like we've got to come down to like just the bare bones of like regulating ourselves, being able to tell ourselves different stories. And like, I hate saying regulating yourself because that's such a freaking
I
buzzword
know.
now. And, like, it's just so interesting to me that like all the things that are good for us, all the things like yoga is just good for us. Like
Huh?
stretching, that's what yoga is. Stretching is just like meditating and stretching all together in a discipline that yes, I not to take away from the yogis, there's a lot more to it and it's
Yeah. Yeah.
there's so much to it. But when you come down to it, it's the calming of the mind and calming of the nervous system. But then people are like, "Oh, I'm not a yogi. I don't associate like I don't identify as a yogi." But then it's like this bad you're either a yogi or you're not. Do you know what I don't even know
I
if I'm making
totally know what
sense
you
with
mean.
all
And it's
this.
with everything. Like they make, and here's what it is, everything that's good for you is perceived as a challenge, as hard.
Yes.
Try to get
Yes.
a child that you didn't stick to drinking like water as a child. You started out with like juice and flavored stuff. Now try getting that child to just drink water. Like I was a
Right.
kid that like hated water because it wasn't flavored. Like it was boring to me, right? Like
These are your two options. Yes, of
yes,
course.
something really good for you is
Right.
perceived as like, and it's the same
Mm-hmm.
thing with exercise, moving. People go, and like we know, especially for like older, like, oh, I shouldn't say it that way. Like perimenopause, like 39 to older and older up women should like
Mm-hmm.
strength train and stuff because we know that the
Yes.
hormones happening and the muscle atrophy happening. They should be
Yes.
adding, and even if it's resistance bands a couple times a week, you're good. You just should be pushing your muscles. And we
Yes.
like scientifically know it's super crucial for that
Yes.
demographic. But then
Yes.
it's, oh, I don't want to be a jacked gym girl. And it's like, that'll never happen. Like, there's such a
Right.
perception of this is bad for me. And a lot of things that are really good for you, or not only bad for me, but hard to do.
Mm.
Breathing, it's
Yes.
the most simple thing on the planet to do. It's perceived
Mm-hmm.
to breathe correctly. 90% of the population really doesn't breathe correctly during a day. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
it's just like a thing. And it's perceived as like a hard thing to do. Like when you're upset and people are like, hey, just breathe. I used to be like, oh yeah, I'm past that
Mm-hmm.
point. I'm not gonna breathe. Now I'm like, ooh, I gotta breathe. Like I
Yes.
know my nervous
Yes.
system needs oxygen like right now and
Yes.
controlled oxygen, like controlled
Yes.
breath. And before I
Yes.
would have blew that off. So I think it's an interesting thing that a lot of things that are really good for us that aren't hard things are perceived differently.
And I think it's so and I'm not going to get this is not like a again, it's so funny. We don't have to, but it feels like we have to have these things around it that it's like I'm not trying to sound like this because that's where everybody's at. It's like I'm not trying to be like um alarmist or anything, but like I do think that like whether it's the ego or society in general or if it's like controlled by people up there, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it really is like keeping you down and keeping you safe and like keeping you like down here is the reason why everything is so complicated. And so like finance is one of those things that it's like you need to have a financial planner, you need to have a financial this guy and this guru and this tax person and this everything because we have been sold this bill of goods that like money is scary, money is very like it's very like definite. Like you have to have these like certain ways of doing these things. And it's so complicated that we're like, well, I could never take the time to learn this. So I'm just not good with money. And it's like, no, it's actually quite simple. You just have to get like away from this. So if we could
Yes.
get down to like just all the basics, the other thing that it like pops up for me is how Instagram, like all these things are trying to get us to like look at the like an example of this would be like working out. So many of us are trying to get to the up here where we're doing like all of these like major like complicated workouts where we have not built literally the foundations
Yes.
of just movement. So we're getting our masters in something we have never gone to kindergarten to learn the like the basics of like showing up in something. Do you know what I mean? Like
No.
and and it's just so false. Like you can't be here. You've got to start here and just like slowly get yourself up to here and then eventually you'll be here without any kind of effort,
I
you know?
thrive in this realm and why I love. So I work with my health and wellness coaching. I work with pretty much like 35, 40 and up and like longevity coaching. I could do athletes, I've done other areas, but I love that realm because it's really, in my opinion, it's easier to get really good results because I, people look at me and go, well, I'm not going to add going to the gym 6 days a week. Good, because you're not there anyway. You sit on the couch and
Right.
binge Netflix all day. What you're going to do is you're going to go for a 5 minute walk today. Can you handle that? Well, yes, I can.
Yes.
Well, that's what we're going to do. I'm all about simple habit stacks. Like,
Yes.
you know what? In 2 years, maybe you might be going to the gym, but maybe
Yeah.
you'll fall in love with it and you'll start going all the time. But I'm not starting you there. Like, you're
Right.
going to walk
Right.
for 5 minutes and you're going to take out one unhealthy food that you eat in your pantry this week.
Mhm.
I'm not an overhaul lifestyle guy. I like
Yes.
simple little teach you lifelong habits that you can in 10 years go, oh, hey, now I do 50 new things I didn't think I was going to do before, and my health is great. That's how I like
Yes.
to do it because, yeah, it's hard to go, hey, you're going to be throwing 50-pound dumbbells around like these guys on Instagram in the
Yeah.
air and catching them in your feet. It's like, get over here. Like, what is happening? Yeah.
Did you ever experience that though? Where you were, because I used to be that person. I was all or nothing. It was
Oh,
like
yeah.
I'm either going to be at the gym for, an hour and a half every single day, or I'm going to just like fall off and like just I was constantly going like this with so many parts of my life. Were
I've
you ever,
experienced
did you?
I've experienced that at like pretty different levels because I came from like addictions into being an athlete and trained for cage fighting and stuff, and then years of again addictions, and then coming out of that, my new like 4 a.m. at the gym 6 days a week recovery was is part of the process. My meals are all prepped. Like, oh yeah, like I experienced
Yeah.
that side of it within myself.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's kind of how I need to tick a little bit. Like
Mhm.
I thrive with eating and working out being my medicine. So like when I know I'm getting stressed out, like there's a heavy bag in the garage, I train some of the teenagers some kickboxing still these days. I go
So
out and
cool.
kickbox for 20 minutes. I hit the weights a little bit, not because I like for any reason, but I need to. It's medicine to me. Like it makes me feel better.
Amazing.
I need hormones that get released when we're working out because I'm about to like I'm too energetic or whatever it may be. I
Yes.
need that like, whew, and that,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. That's amazing. That's amazing. And then, again, that goes back to the stories you tell. Really, if you go down to it, it's a story that you tell yourself because there's what was that they did this research about the hotel housekeepers that they would like tested all of them for like their blood sugar and all of these kind of metrics, and then they just told these people that like the work that you're doing in the hotel for cleaning every day um meets the general whatever it is for fitness and for health, for your heart, for all of these things. That's all that they told. They didn't change anything about what they were doing. And then they rechecked all of their numbers, like I think a month later. And the majority of them, their blood pressure went down, their blood sugar went down, all of it went down because their brain told them that, like, oh, what I'm doing is actually good for my body. Great. They didn't do anything differently. So when you say like I'm going to go and I'm going to, just hit the heavy bag and I'm just going to go and I'm going to give it because I need my hormones and I need, to get that energy and I need all of that. If you went and did the exact same thing and was like, Brandon said that this is going to work and it's not working for me. It just doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't matter how much I punch this thing. I still
Or
feel like shit. Yeah, it's still going to feel like shit, even though like you both can be next to each other doing the exact same thing. This thing changes so much of it. Is
it's
it? It's fascinating.
see, I got fascinated by the brain with, I also had an extensive concussion history and was told, I mean, I've seen them all, like neuropsychiatrists and this and that, and a lot of speech therapists and different doctors for different areas of the brain. And post-concussion syndromes of like after the fact is was and is still a very misunderstood medical area, even by some
Yeah.
of the best of the best. And so I went down a lot of different rabbit holes of being obsessed with neuroscience and how our brains work, right? And finding out, one of the things that blew my mind early was finding
Mhm.
out that you don't have to be doing anything, or like your body can experience a car crash just by you thinking you're in the car crash. You're, there's a lot of studies out there about athletes that they will put all these different testers and transmitters and different things on them, and they will do the event, and then they will think about doing the event, and nothing changes. Nothing
Yes.
changes in your body. So you
Yes.
can be in a car crash, and you can think about being in a car crash, and your internal responses, nothing will change. So
Yes.
if you're thinking you're having a shitty day, you're going to have a shitty day because
Yes.
you're releasing those responses. But if you
Yes.
think no matter what happens today, I'm going to
Yes.
have a great day, things will come at you differently. And people go, "Oh yeah," but it's so true that
It
it's
is.
amazing. I one of
So
my
fascinating.
very first clients when I became online coaching was terrified to drive. It was a few
Oh,
years ago, and like absolutely terrified to drive. And I asked her, I was like, okay, why do these like anxiety attacks happen and stuff? Like, what are you thinking before, like in the car? What are
yeah.
you thinking, right? And
Yeah.
she explained this like fiery death of like scenarios and things flying through windows and like
Yes.
hailing her. And I'm like, holy shit, that's
I
why.
wouldn't want to.
Like
I wouldn't
your
want to get
body
in a
is
car.
yeah, your body is experiencing everything that you just told me. And what you just
Yes.
told me is a nightmare. Like you just so
Yes.
why would your body respond well as you thinking about this on a 3 hour trip? Your body is going to
Right.
be a disaster. So
Yes.
all we did was flip how she perceived and would think about driving, and now like has no problem driving.
Fascinating.
It's like the little fixes on how we think about things because our body's responding to what we're thinking.
Yes. Yes. Good and bad. Yeah.
And
That's the whole thing. So
I've run into a
fascinating.
few, like, there will be people that, like, you get the, but we can't always control our thoughts, the chemical
No.
imbalance kind of
Yeah.
crowd that
Yeah.
sometimes
Sure.
this doesn't land with. But
Sure. But you know what I say to that? So if it's kind of like what I was talking like to my sister about how like, okay, if everybody's right and it doesn't like you're not going to make it to Christmas, okay. But what do you have control over? And so if there's 1/2% that this stuff that Brandon's talking about, that it shifts your brain, 0.5% chance that it works, and you don't like where you are and you want to be somewhere different, why not just play around with it?
that's
Just
right.
play around with it for a week, see what happens. Go full in though. Don't go into this isn't going to work. I'm going to just do this just to prove them wrong because then you will prove us wrong. Just play with it and say, hey, you know what? I've given 45 years of my life to this one way. Let's just try it for a week and see if I notice anything.
Yeah.
And you will notice it. And you know where mine really started was um the experiment that I got, and I think it came from like a book or something, and it was asking for a parking spot close to the door when you go places, and just start asking for it. Just start believing that your parking spot is going to be at the door, and just work on that, because that's a tangible thing that you can start experiencing. That's pretty simple. And it might not happen the very first time that it happens, but keep working on it. And within a week or two, you'll start getting closer spots to the door. Not because some angel comes down and like pulls a car out of the spot to give it to you. It's because you start seeing it. But
Mm.
that's like the easiest way, because a lot of people are like, everybody's always like parking in the handicap, and then they're parking here, and I have to park all the way out there, and I don't want to walk. And they have all the story around it. Just start believing that you're going to be able to manifest a parking spot close to the door.
Yeah.
You'll do it within a week or two. And that will open up enough to be like, shit, maybe there's something to this.
Yes. It's a great example. I love the movie. They talk about that in The Secret was the movie that kind of first brought
Oh, okay.
the Bob Proctor stuff.
Yes.
Kind of brought me into this thinking at first. And then
Yes.
another one that really did it for me was the book The Miracle Morning by a guy named Hal Elrod. Um,
Yes.
like he had like a lot of tumors and was like
Mm-hmm.
death sentence, right? And every
Mm-hmm.
morning he would go out and like sit and watch the sunrise and tell himself that he was healed, no tumors. Like he's not the only person since that story that I've like even read in stories, but now I've known people like personally. I had a
Yeah.
friend in Canada. Yeah, Evergreen Foundation's member, Lindsay Ranson. She's a
Okay.
holistic healer, does a lot of great things. Her mother-in-law was like told, you have weeks left, tons of tumors. They did some herbal stuff, but then they did all like energy healing and the thinking of like, and then they went to the doctor and I was like, oh, you're clear. And they're like, oh, don't
I
you
don't
want
know
to
what
know how she
happened.
did that? And they're like, oh, it's not, it's just a miracle. Don't you want to like know the process or like tell anybody? No. And it's like, that's
No,
kind of
this
how
is
we're
a
met here
one-off.
too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Earlier you said somewhere I was like, oh, should I grab my tinfoil hat or not? We could go down a lot of, her and I could go down a lot of, and you said it so eloquently, but I was like, this could be a different conversation if I jump in at the right time
Yeah,
here.
that's the other thing too. You got to control where things go. Yes. It's probably good that we didn't go there, but who knows? It
Last
would have
week
been
with
fun.
Susan Andrew, and we had a moment, and I asked Christina, I was like, oh, here comes the tinfoil hat. And we got off on ticks and alpha gall and like certain things. And yeah,
Yes.
it's
Wild. It's wild.
hey,
It's just wild. And none of us know. That's the whole thing. None of
yeah,
us know the truth. We all
yeah,
pretend. We're all like these kids walking around pretending that we know the story, and we don't. We think we have a pretty good handle on it, and I have a pretty good handle on it. You have a pretty good handle on it. And if you really get into the conversation, we'll be like so wildly different in
yeah.
certain parts of it, which is just proof that there's really no big truth out there. We just
No,
have to believe. And it comes back to the first thing that you said, Brandon, is that we get to create our story. We get to design our life the way that we want to, whether it's right or wrong or whatever. If it feels good and aligned, you said, to us, that's all that matters. That's all that matters.
because I think this is my personal opinion that
Yeah.
all the stuff that could be brought up is all just deception trying to distract us away from telling our own stories. So we get swept up into the deceptions and the different things, and we get swept up, and then we don't
Yes.
tell our
Yes.
own stories and live within our own selves. And I think from this conversation today, that's something we can really go forward with is telling our own stories, believing
Yes.
in our own stories. And
Yes.
Leigh, I really thank you for sharing your story with your sister, prayers and
Thank
uplifting
you.
her. And that was a really powerful thing that you could bring to our conversation today as well. So
Thank you.
appreciate
This
that.
was awesome. I
And
love you,
yeah, we
Brandon, and I love everything you're doing.
thank you. And same, join Leigh in the happy hangout here on Skool. And Follow us, subscribe on YouTube, follow us in Evergreen Foundations. Today's episode was brought to you by Ken Profescary from the Gallstone tribe on Skool. I'm doing a little contest where I'm going to blow up some schools when they
I
do
love
their
it.
offers on Saturdays. So join the Gallstone tribe because he is a naturopathic doctor that knows
Awesome.
his stuff if you're having issues there. Thanks for
Awesome.
joining the
I will.
Evolution Podcast, episode 2 today. Udo Yerbach from Ireland joins Christina and I. Thanks again, Leigh. Have a
Bye. Thank
wonderful
you.
time.
Love you. Bye.